Hello, everyone. Thank you for tuning into another episode of the Bonus Point Rugby podcast on the Last Week in Rugby series. This series is brought to you by Whalebird Kombucha, the Rugby Nation, and OsteoStrong LA. Once again, I'm your host, TJ Olsen, and once again, I'm joined by Tavita Halafia, aka rapper Novel Capote, and head coach of Cal Poly, James Tesarero. Welcome again, gentlemen. Thank you for joining me. How are we doing?
Howdy, brothers. I'm very well, thank you.
I'm loving your background, Hala.
Thank you very much.
Doing well also, mate. Doing well also.
So let's just jump straight into it because I want to talk about this Mitre 10 Cup. So we'll go through the rapid recap. It'll be a very short one. Northland came out on top of Otago 32-19. This second game, the one that I loved, Hawke's Bay absolutely smashed Taranaki 59-23. Oh, man, it was a beautiful game. Hello, you know I'm happy about that one. But in the Premiership Division, Tasman won a close one against Bay of Plenty 19-10. And this game is very depressing. Waikato almost came back and won that game, but came up short. Auckland getting the victory 23-18. That's why I have to wear this lovely singlet, because we got a Aucklander in my house as a supporter. But this leaves Hawke's Bay facing off against Northland at McLean Park in Napier, and Auckland versus Tasman at the famous Eden Park. And I know that Auckland and Tasman, the game is obviously the big game for the big trophy. And I was there for the 2018 time when they won that, but I'm actually more excited for this Northland versus Hawke's Bay game. For Northland, you've got one of my favourite players of all time in Rennie Ranger, plus Johnny Cooper, who's a rising star for Northland. And you've got Hawke's Bay. You've got one of my favourite players of the year. Everybody knows this, Ash Dixon. Plus a very exciting Whakatava at halfback. Yeah, definitely my husband. But this match is going to be a cracker.
Can we swear on this podcast?
Oh, okay. You want to do that, do you? Okay, cool.
Say it, James. Let it go, brother.
What's that name?
Whakatava.
Can we beep this out afterwards?
Yeah, we definitely can. We'll add the bleeps in. What was the footy show thing that used to happen all the time? It was I can't remember what the joke was, but it was Bo Ryan. He used to do it all the bloody time. He killed it.
Fui moi moi.
Yeah. He used to,
or Benji Marshall.
Yeah, it was Benji. Yeah, Whakatane. But we'll jump in. Hala, which match are you more excited for?
Honestly, probably the Auckland Tasman game. I was watching Hawke's Bay Tasman last week. I said that's the game I sort of really wanted to look at. After watching that game, I can't see Northland getting a sniff.
Oh, come on. You got to get
Nah, G. I'm calling it already. So Auckland Tasman's going to be really good because I think Auckland played terribly and were extremely lucky.
Yeah.
After I only saw the highlights, you told me to watch the game again and said I'd be frustrated, and I was. So the Auckland Tasman game will be good. Tasman have had a really good run the last few weeks, so I'm looking forward to seeing if they can cause the upset.
And James, I know that you haven't been watching all the Mitre 10 Cup, but you've been doing a lot of betting on your TAB. So who are you backing for these games?
I think Hawke's Bay will be very hard to beat in the Premiership. No, the Championship, sorry. Yeah. So I expect Hawke's Bay to beat Northland. And I don't know, I've seen just a little bit of Auckland recently, and I really like the way they attack. I haven't been able to watch whole matches, so I don't know what their weaknesses are, but when they're on and their attack is clicking, when they're on and they're clicking, I think they're going to be pretty hard to stop. But I think I know Bay of Plenty are a very handy side, and Tasman just rolled them, so might choose Tasman in that game.
Yeah.
So I'll have Tasman and Hawke's Bay.
Tasman are the reigning defending champions, so no one can count them out. So yeah, I'm going to back Auckland, because if I don't, I'll get a hiding in this house. And Hawke's Bay, I got to back Hawke's Bay. I've been backing them all season. I would love Northland to get the W, because that would be a good story. But yeah, definitely Hawke's Bay all the way.
Northland could get touched up pretty bad, bro. That's my gut feeling is that Northland are going to get touched up, but who knows, man.
That's my worry, because you saw last week, everybody said that Taranaki's been a quality side, and they have been, but man, they just got pumped. It's Hawke's Bay, especially with their rolling maul. Ash Dixon's been doing it all year with Super Rugby. He will just bloody own people. But we'll switch it up, and we'll talk about the test match over the weekend where the Pumas took on Australia's Wallabies. And I know there were a few great moments in this match. Some were dribbled in here and there, but this game was pretty lackluster for me. It wasn't because the All Blacks weren't playing. It was just a very uneventful game, and all the points came from kicks. So the one thing I do want to talk about starting off with, though, is the one similarity of last week's match. So the Pumas, they just frustrate their opponents with their defense. I will admit there were a handful of things that the Pumas did that were quite cynical to get a rise out of players and threw them off their kilter. But the Pumas' gameplay in both tests has been very fiery. The games have been very niggly, and they've been able to get under both teams' skin, which has worked out in their favour. The one difference is that the Wallabies had a week to study the previous test match and come up with a plan. And personally, if I were Dave Rennie, I'd be pretty disappointed by this performance by the Wallabies. And Hulla, you mentioned that on Fox Sports. That's what Dave Rennie said as well. So it's a bit disappointing. But James, I'll come to you first because you're the true Wallabies fan here. Did the Pumas' line speed and pressure force the Wallabies to crack, or was it just Argentina being able to capitalise on getting a rise out of their opponents?
So I think you used the word cynical early, and I found a lot of the Argentinian play cynical. And the Wallabies, the referee Paul Williams correctly penalised most of the Argentinian infringements, and the Wallabies simply weren't good enough to make them pay for it. We missed a penalty that would have won the game. There's also probably 3 or 4 times we received a penalty, kicked for the corner, and then lost our line out. And as soon as, when you're doing that and you can't punish the opposition for penalties, the opposition has an incentive just to lay in the ruck, kill the ball, slow it down. They won't be penalised every time. And when they are penalised, they'll take their chances with what you can do with that. So I think the Argentinians took a lot of the rugby out of the game. And the Wallabies, I thought the referee probably should have gone to a yellow card 3 or 4 ruck infringements earlier.
Yeah.
But the Wallabies simply weren't good enough at the line out to make the Argentinians pay for that. And if Jordan Patea dives 1 bounce earlier, if Hodge kicks the quite kickable goal to win the match, and if we get a couple of those lineouts, that probably could have been a 15 or 20 point win. And you find Argentina start keeping their hands off our ball, they start rolling away at the ruck, and everything else opens up. So frustrating, but the Wallabies have to take ownership, and not good enough.
And I think the one thing to add is like you are right, but the line speed being very strong, it did put the Wallabies under pressure, and a lot of people have been thinking, what should the Wallabies and the All Blacks as well change? So Hulla, do you think that because of their such strong line speed, that's just their one shape, their one form, they're just able to rush up, shut it down very quickly? Should the Wallabies and the ABs add a kicking game or playing more territory down their end to counteract that?
I think both teams tried. I think the Wallabies definitely did try when they moved the ball. I think they created options, and then they just took the wrong option. One moment in particular is when Jordan Patea grubbered that through. I thought, there's a time and a place for that. It definitely wasn't a planned move.
That was the last 5 minutes you're talking about? The last few minutes?
Yeah. And moments like that is exactly what James said, is they just weren't capitalizing. The moment they started, especially that last 10, 15, Argentina knew they were getting under the pump, so they were letting the ruck go. And as soon as Australia started moving the ball, I honestly thought Australia were going to score. I was like, oh, here we go. You could see cracks in the defense. They're not rushing up because they know that they can't contest the ball. So let's just wait. Let's just let them move the ball, and then we'll try to take them out. But instead, they, that line speed, if anything, just psyched out Australia. That as soon as they got the ball, they thought that they had to kick it. So I think there's definitely going to, I think the Argentinian game plan worked, but I don't honestly see the Kiwis or the Wallabies adding any extra kicks in. I think if anything, they're going to just hammer that 9, 10, 12 channel a lot more, just to and just blow off that ball and then move it. Because the moment they started moving it, Argentina had nothing, and they were just lucky that it was the last 5 minutes and not the last 20, 25, where Australia definitely, I believe, could have capitalized. And like James said, had a few calls gone their way a little earlier, which they probably should have. It would have been a 20-point plus game. I think the biggest thing for the Wallabies on the weekend, Nick White, for the first time, I would admit, had a really great game. He was actually getting really nice ball out. It was fast. but they just weren't doing anything past the 10-12. There was nothing there. Korobidi was, nowhere to be seen in regards to like coming through that middle to try and take that first wave of defense. So I just think that, if they shift the ball a bit more, or if they crash that 9-10, 10-12 channel and get that ball out, Argentina are going to get sucked in way too easily. And especially if you watch their 6, 7, 8, they're never too far off the ball, which is perfect if you want to play an expansive game. You don't need to kick it. If anything that we've learned from the All Blacks and Wallabies is keep the ball and just keep on going. It's just one of those games against Argentina because they're gonna get penalized. So you may as well play that game as opposed to territory. If you're not going to win the line out, if you could get blasted in the scrums, keep the ball and let them get penalized and then take advantage.
Yeah. I think Australia, I agree with all that. I think Australia, a little bit of panic creeps in when we go 5 or 6 phases without going anywhere.
Mm-hmm.
And I think that's a real problem. You've got to be able to get comfortable just kind of soaking up possession, waiting for the opposition to panic, getting some sort of momentum and go forward, and then waiting for your opportunity.
Just biding time.
And that all comes down to your match managers and your playmakers. Like owning the decisions, and at the moment we're kind of not there.
I think I was surprised that Rennie pulled Nella Tabo off at halftime. I actually thought giving him a little bit more, maybe 10, 15 minutes, because he started to make a difference towards the end of that second half. Just that pure physicality. I think he was nervous about the niggle he was getting, and he was worried that he would have brought on a yellow card because there were a handful of occasions in that first half where he was on the ground. He did that backhand while he was in the ruck, and although I think that he would have brought a lot of impact in that second half. I think Rennie was just like, pull the plug, let's get him out of there. Yeah, and I completely that's what I thought as well. But at the same time, I thought I think physically he was probably one of very few Aussies that was just dominating his opposition. Mm-hmm. And for the life of me, I would risk that yellow card just to ensure that we're going to get that stability off that off the ruck, and if they're mauling or in that 9-10 channel.
I agree. Or at the very least, you tell them at half time, say, I'm going to pull you 15 minutes into the second half, unleash hell.
Yeah.
And you just say, leave nothing in the tank.
Yeah. 15
minutes, max involvement, lay guys out, hit as many rucks as you can, bruise them up a little bit, and then we'll get you off.
And then
but you're kind of wasting that 10 minutes of half time by taking them off at half time.
Yeah, it was silly. And nothing against the other front rowers for the Wallabies. They just do not have that physical impact over an extended period of time that he has, especially one-on-one. I was shocked. As soon as they came out, I was like, oh, dude, like I get that he could be a risk at getting sent. But, man, this guy – the thing is, he was getting niggled because he was niggling them. And he was hurting them. And you know what I mean? So I was like – unfortunately, that's the guy you need. Guys like Nick Berry, they don't do anything in those games. It's the big guys that are physically dominating their opposition that you want to keep on, because that's when those penalties are going to come too.
Yeah. Well, we talked about the negatives, and I think there were some positives from the gameplay. Obviously, the conceded turnovers, they killed the Wallabies. That it was just constant turnovers, but they were able to still gain 60% of possession, and over the time they had 13 defenders beat, and 3 of those were clean breaks. They just weren't able to capitalize on a lot of things. So my top 2 players, same as last time, it was Matt Phillip and by far Paisami. Even after ripping his jersey and getting a cleat to the back that looked like a freaking tiger claw, he ended up getting an average of 2 meters per carry, and he won 89% of his tackles. So I think he still had a pretty good game. So James, who was your favorite player in that Wallabies outfit over the weekend?
I think, I like what Tupu was doing in the first half when he kept his head. I think winning contact, hurting the opposition at the breakdown, and bending the line is just so important. And we just don't have enough guys who do that. So he was good for 40. Phillip was very good. And then I think some of the Paisami was good, and some of the outside backs looked threatening at times, but again, just no composure and no match management. So I'll probably say Paisami as well. I thought he was excellent.
Hala?
Man, look, I'm going to tap myself on the back here. They're saying since the Wallabies campaign started, Paisami's your number 12. And he's the man, bro. He's going to be long-term, I think. I really enjoy how he plays. The ball, for sure. I thought he was outstanding in that first half. And Matt Phillip, bro, what a story, man.
I'm so disappointed. I'm so disappointed he's leaving. Like, obviously, it's just for a couple of seasons. He could come back World Cup time, but oh man, I'm disappointed.
Mate, we're running out of locks. We're running out of locks.
Yeah, Simmons gone, Phillip gone. You've got Hannigan, but he's
gone. There's like
he's gone as well.
Yeah.
Oh man,
he's gone to Japan. So I think probably like if 7 or 8 out of our top 9 locks are going to be overseas next season. we were short to start with. It's not good, mate. But the good news is we've opened up, like we've got this much more depth. We've given guys caps and they've showed they've done really well. We're just going to have to keep an eye on them over the next couple of years, and then hopefully they all fall back in ahead of the next World Cup. So, yeah.
Man. All right. Well, let's talk about the Pumas now. So the one slogan that comes to mind for me for the Pumas, if it ain't broke, don't fix it. Like I said last week, the Pumas gameplay, it isn't pretty, but it gets the job done. They're able to be effective at disrupting gameplay on the defensive end and have Sanchez in their corner who can slot penalty kicks from bloody anywhere. But the question is, will this plan continue to work for the next 2 tests? So, Hala, I'll come to you first. Do the Pumas change or add anything to their gameplay, or do they just keep grinding away?
Look, I'm going to give benefit of the doubt to Dave Rennie and Ian Foster. If the Argentinians try to play like that again, second time round for each team, they're gonna be pumped, bro. Each team are full of great coaching staff and great players. You're not going to catch, the likes of Nella Tebow or Artie Sever or Shannon Frizzell getting angry and retaliating. You're just going to see a new calmness. And I think that I think Ledesma and Chica understand that too. So it's going to be interesting. I would be very, very surprised if Argentina try and keep the same gameplay. I still think they're going to try and disrupt. Like that is one of their primary game plans is disrupt the opposition. I just don't see it working second time round without having sort of a new style that they would like to play too, because even in attack, we haven't seen much, have we? We haven't seen anything really outside of, a 6, 7, 8 who are workhorses being super physical. That's not going to win you a game against 2 top-tier nations who are going to dismantle your game plan. They're going to look at the players who matter, and they're going to try and nullify them and exploit the others.
Yeah, and I think when you think about it, it's obviously the Pumas have had their own struggles to deal with, like the likes of COVID and not playing too much rugby this year. But when you think about it, some could argue that they're the most fresh team mentally and physically, as both the ABs and the Wallabies have been playing footy all year. They had Super Rugby, their own retrospective competitions, and they just went straight into Test match rugby. So, James, do you think that this time off gives the Pumas a distinct advantage from the other 2 sides, just mentally and physically?
I think so. I think there's a freshness about them, and they're pumped. They're still riding a bit of a high from those first couple of tests. I agree, though, that they're probably going to have to come up with something a little bit more creative than they have in the first couple of games to be able to score enough points to beat the All Blacks. So I think we said this last week or the week before, but the Pumas never get pumped. They never really get blown out because they play so hard for 80 minutes. And I think the All Blacks will probably beat them, I think, kind of handily this week, but we'll see. I just don't think I think they're going to run out of some of their edge in terms of emotion and surprise. And I think they're running on a lot of adrenaline. And I think once that kind of starts to run out, I think some of the tactical areas, they're probably short. Some of the creativity, they're probably short.
Yeah.
And if the All Blacks don't give away too many penalties, I don't see them scoring too many points.
And the one thing I will say about the Pumas, they do play with passion, but others are arguing that there's been a lot of play in all the Tri-Nations Test matches that's moving away from sportsmanlike conduct. And the previous week, we spoke about it off the air as Mitre, the captain, made a big statement and a big deal saying to the ref that he's playing for his country and the All Blacks should respect him for his Pumas jersey. But over the weekend, Mitre came into it in the middle of a fight as a second person and pulled Brandon Paenga-Amosa's hair, dragged him down to the ground. And I know the refs have a hard enough job as it is, but I think that's pretty counterintuitive from the message you're trying to spread. So, Hala, do you think that these niggly actions, especially by captains, they're kind of getting out of hand from what we should be seeing with Test match rugby?
Well, let the boys play, man. It's dirty play, and what goes around comes around, man. I don't like seeing it, but, I'm also one that's just, if they're willing to do that, then they better be willing to cop it. And if they're not, then, you get found out. I'm not for it at all. But at the same time, it happens on the field. You get heat of the moment. It's a contact sport. You're aggro, you're angry, you want to win, you're passionate. These are all fine things. And sometimes it just comes out the wrong way. I do think on the weekend, though, someone should have been sent a lot earlier. I agree with James. I think it got to that point. I'd like to see the referee sort of, I thought actually on the weekend he did really well. But if they're going to do it and if you're going to send someone for, a shoulder to the face, then you should be sending someone that's deliberately pulling someone's hair to try and knock it out. So, I'm sort of like on the fence with this because I love seeing it. And I love seeing the retaliation. And as a former player, I'd love doing it, and I love having the retaliation. So, I don't want to be a hypocrite here, and say, I don't think we're losing anything out of the game. But it's probably not good for kids to see either. So I get both sides of the coin here.
James, what do you got to add to that?
Mate, I'm not sure how much rugby you guys have played against Argentinians, but whatever foul play you saw was the tip of the iceberg. There was almost certainly some biting, some eye gouging, some squirrel grips. That's just how the Argentinians play rugby, and they think that's part of the game, and it is in their corner of the world. So, mate, the Argentinians are absolutely notorious for kind of niggly, dirty play, stuff that most rugby playing countries would consider out of bounds. And so I thought Matera the other week to say, I'm playing for my country, show some respect. We love that sentiment, but he can't be talking about niggle and foul play because the Argies are just famous for it.
Well, yeah, I think it'll be interesting. I personally don't like it either. I agree with that, and I agree that it is an adrenaline-based sport as well. So it's something where when the blood's rushing, some things just happen. Like when Paenga-Amosa came in and people calling it a cheap shot when he hit him in the back, but he immediately went, crap, I didn't hear the whistle, I'm sorry. And then he basically just got a free-for-all from like 3 Argentinians. So, I do agree that sometimes it can get away from you. But, I hope we just don't see any more. I'm not saying I don't like a good biff. Like, bring back the biff. But if it's one-on-one, not like 50 people in a corner, just dragging people's hair and just throwing them around. But, we'll see. We got our predictions coming up, so we've got a short list. So I think the first one we already sound like we know who you guys are picking. So Hawke's Bay versus Northland. James, you back in Hawke's Bay?
Yep.
Hala, Hawke's Bay.
Hawke's Bay, G.
Hawke's Bay for the 3. Well, I still owe you guys 5 push-ups because I backed RG.
Burpees, bro.
Oh, no.
Burpees, bro.
I backed Waikato. 5 burpees.
I hope you get push-ups now.
I'll film those tonight and I'll get into them. But Auckland versus Tasman. So this will be an interesting one. Who are you guys backing? So, James, I'll go to you first.
I'll say Tasman.
Tasman. Oh, okay. All right. Hala?
I'm going Auckland, man. I'm going Blues.
I'm going. I'm going.
Just.
I want to say Tasman, but I'm going to back Auckland because I don't want to get a hiding. But we'll have the last one. So Argentina versus New Zealand. So I got to back the All Blacks. I don't think that they're going to lose again. I think they're going to learn their mistakes. They're going to come back a lot stronger, a lot smarter, stay composed. Yeah, I'll leave it at that. Hulla, who you backing?
Man, New Zealand 20 plus, bro.
Oh, okay. James?
I've got All Blacks by 12 to 15.
Ooh, okay. So a nice close one. All right, cool. Awesome. All right, we'll leave that. I'll post up those burpees tonight, but it's called the bonus point for a reason. Instead of having one bonus point topic, we're going to have two. So the first one is regarding the Autumn Nations, which has been the new name for the Six Nations this year. Personally, I hate the name, but I'll leave it at that. But I've been enjoying watching some international Northern Hemisphere rugby again, and there have been two players that have been my favourites. For biased reasons, as he was a Chiefs player, and the first player I loved playing in an Irish jersey, James Lowe. He's been ripping it up, especially in his debut. Disappointed that New Zealand Rugby managed to let him slip and go overseas, but good to see he's carving up. The second player is Itoje. So he's been an absolute monster in the World Cup last year, and I could give a lot of different stats, but I think this sums it up. 25 tackles at 100% success rate is all I really need to say. He's no Sam Cane. He's no 26 or 28, but and obviously Johnny May obviously carved up on the weekend. But I think Itoje continues just to wreak havoc and play consistently in Test matches. So James, who's been your standout in the Autumn Nations so far, and why?
Well, most Northern Hemisphere rugby folks think that Itoje is the best forward in the world, if not the best player in the world. I don't watch enough rugby, but like Northern Hemisphere rugby. But from what I've seen, he carries amazingly. Such a good defender, and they build their line out around him. So he's excellent. The French halfback is at Dupont.
Mm-hmm.
He's unreal. He's a bit of a kind of Northern Hemisphere style halfback. He's been right up there. But Johnny May on the weekend was outstanding. I don't know if you guys saw visuals, but he came into the game looking like an absolute sex offender. Did you see his moustache?
Yeah, it was great. He looked like he was in a 70s porn shoot.
That is
so rude.
That is
so
the
rude.
greatest description of a rugby player that no one wants.
People are saying he looks like Freddie Mercury, and I think that's harsh on Freddie Mercury.
Oh,
Mate, he looked absolutely rude, but he scored 2 tries, and both of them were his tries.
the one that was like 80 meters, that one was ridiculous.
Yeah.
He pulled that out of his ass.
Yeah, so I think he was probably the difference in that match. He's certainly on the scoreboard and out wide. It's a different involvement for wingers than from a lock like Itoje, but Johnny May was unreal, and I think he was probably the difference there.
Hulla?
Yeah, look, I wouldn't say Itoje is the best forward in the world. He's definitely top 5 for sure, hands down. Look, it's interesting watching I find some of the games a little like I can watch them live over here thanks to Bean on Foxtel. Costing me an arm and a leg though.
We could use that as an endorsement. Let's get him sponsored. Come on.
That's good.
Yeah.
They're probably going to be like, don't say our name. The one thing that sticks out for me for the Autumn Nations Cup, though, is, Fiji had their game cancelled against France a couple weeks ago. We're going to see them against Italy. And I'm interested to watch that because I saw the Fijian team. I was pretty impressed with who they've got there. The Italian team, there's no names I know. And, honestly, the Scotland-Italy game was average at best. So I'm interested to watch that game. England, the England-Irish game surprised me, actually. I thought Ireland sort of let themselves down a little bit. They weren't swinging the ball as much. They weren't sort of backing themselves as much as England did. And when England did, they were rewarded the goods. So, that game was a little bit of a letdown. But the shock for me was Georgia only losing 18-0.
Yeah, only 18-0. Yeah, that's a big one.
Okay, so I watched that game. They played Wales.
Wales, right? So yep.
The Welsh team stacked minus a few couple. I wouldn't say enough that they wouldn't going to win 50-0. Georgia looked really good, man. They put through I think it was 12 plus phases about 7 or 8 times, against the Welsh forward pack, bro. They didn't lose it. They were making the meters. They weren't going sideways. Their number 10 was pretty good, man, swinging the ball nice. It surprised me. I thought they looked like scoring a couple of times, but just that finesse. I think they had, I read online, they had two wingers who weren't professionally, like they sort of play it like, second tier sort of pro competition in Europe. But, man, that really shocked me. I thought Wales should have won by a lot more. And all credit to Georgia. They really, really stood up and showed out. So it'd be interesting to see how they go against some of the bigger nations as well.
Whenever I think of Georgia, I always think of just 15 props on the field. Like, it's because that's what they're known for. And I just picture how amazing that first 5 minutes would be and how terrible the rest of that game would be. But it would be amazing.
Well, they lost 40-0 in the first round, right, to England. And that's sort of what I was expecting. And England didn't really play too good. They didn't give it wasn't sort of their number one scores. It was sort of like, it was prime positions were there, but, few little extras. So I was honestly expecting, when I saw the Welsh team, I thought, okay, we're going to see an embarrassment of all sorts. But, man, the embarrassment was Wales. I said it. I said it. And one of my cousins plays for them, so.
Well, there you go. Yeah, you can throw that out. You can get the hiding. So there. All right. Well, before we move on, I want to see, who have you guys got picked to win this comp? So, Hulla, I'll hit you first. Who have you got?
England.
Yeah, I'm afraid you're right. I'd like France to make it interesting, and I think France can make it interesting. Especially if they're riding a bit of an emotional high off the death of Christophe Dominici.
So I think it pains me to say it, but I have actually got France taking this out by just barely, because when you look at it, just hear me out here. They may not be the best team on paper or the second best team on paper, but they've got a lot easier pool. So when you think about their gameplay, they're going to come into the finals a lot fresher. And England's crash hot. I'm never going to say that they're not, because they've got one of the best coaches ever. They've got a great side. That's it. But when you think about it, their pool, they're going to come out. They're going to play some pretty average games. They might upset people. So we've seen crazier things happen. So I'm not putting any money on it. I'm not going to my TAB and I'm not putting $100 on it, because that would just be a silly investment. But
if they're paying something good, maybe a few dollars.
There we go. Yeah, so then that can kind of sway me. Yeah, we'll see there. But we'll move on to our second bonus point topic before I start pumping my savings account into my TAB account. This week, the teams were announced for the clash between the Maori All Blacks and the Moana Pacific team. And before we get into the players that were named, Hulla, I know you'd be very excited about this match. Obviously, Pasifika.
Oh, why? I don't know why.
Very, very proud Tongan man with your Tongan background. They've had a Pasifika team play before, but this team's main purpose is to show that the potential for the 2022 Super Rugby, they can be a part of that competition. So, do you think that this is a great step in the right direction to make this happen?
100%. Yep, I'm all for it. Especially with someone like Tanu Monga at the head of it. I think what Pasifika Rugby has missed are people at the top who actually aren't being told what to do, with no offense to the guys like Michael Jones for Samoa or Totai Kefu for the Tongan team. Unfortunately, there just hasn't been the support that they've needed to get the players that they have. Someone like Tanu Monga, who has very tight ties with Rugby New Zealand Rugby, and is renowned as being one of the greatest players of all time and a proud Pasifika man, I think is going to really bring in the ties to these younger generation coming through, and to the older generation, to try and let them understand the importance of having a Pasifika team in a prime rugby competition in the world.
And James, you've got a strong connection to the islands as well, especially Fiji. You do a boot drive every year, and you get a lot of kit to head over to Fiji. So, what does the potential of this team do for the islands in general?
Well, I think it kind of reflects the depth of New Zealand rugby. New Zealand always manages to kind of come up with some representative programs and representative matches that they can stack with kind of elite level players, and the matches are meaningful. Like that North versus South match was an embarrassment of riches. This is kind of another, basically, stepping stone for players to bridge. I guess this is kind of bridging Mitre 10 Cup to Super Rugby. But New Zealand just does this really well in terms of kind of finding extra tiers and meaningful matches and representative programs. And the New Zealand public's got a endless appetite for these kind of matches, and it's a good concept, and I'm looking forward to it.
South Auckland alone, you can get the support, and then the island culture will go through the roof. But let's get in.
Baby.
Let's get into the squad. So first up, we've got my uncle's best mate from school, Tana Umanga, leading this Moana Pacific team. They have great talent from all the islands. You've got guys like Josh Ioane from Samoa, Sione Mafaleo from Tonga, guys like Peter Gusto Akula who from Fiji, who's been ripping it for the Chiefs at the moment. And although Tana's had his ups and downs as a head coach with counties and the Blues, when you're representing your country or your culture, a switch flicks on and passion gets kicked into an overdrive, just like you said, Hulla and James. So I feel he is a great choice as coach for this specific team. So Hulla, with this team and with Tana leading it, what do you think of their chances against the Maori All Blacks?
I think it's really high. Completely non-biased. I'm probably going to go this team to win.
I would be surprised if you back the Maori All Blacks.
Look, I love the Maori All Blacks. I just think that this team collectively probably have got the experience. And by experience, I mean the guys like Michael Alatoa, who is the twin brother of the Wallabies, Alatoa, which I think is – I've always rated Michael better, to be honest with you.
We've spoken about this previously. Yeah, I've said the same thing.
So the likes of him, Daniel Leonard-Brown, who's had a stellar season this year. You got Nasi Manu at 9. Nasi Manu playing from Otago. And then, it goes down the line. Atene Nanai Saturo, who's a stellar player. Like, it's going to be an interesting... This squad is sort of like the perennial... They haven't made the international scene, but they are playing pretty good footy, and some of them are standout seasons in Super Rugby Aotearoa. So I'm really interested to see them up against a very quality outfit that is the Maori All Blacks. And I think with Ash Dixon leading that team, I haven't seen them play a bad game ever. So I'm interested to see how this team goes. I think the one worry I have, to be perfectly honest, is typical Polynesians players where, we do get too rowdy. We suck a lot of energy out in that first 20, then go missing in the ends of each half. So I like to think that given that these players have been playing rugby right up until, this week pretty much, that fitness will take over, and we're going to see a quality side against another quality side playing real quality footy that we're all going to love and enjoy. And let's be honest, there's going to be some big hits.
Yeah, it's going to be great. Well, let's talk about that. So the Maori All Blacks head coach Clayton McMillan, he's named 8 debutants in that squad with Ash Dixon leading the charge, and obviously Clayton McMillan, he's been the head coach for Bay of Plenty. He's done a pretty good job this year. But Ash Dixon, a seasoned veteran in a Maori All Blacks jersey. When you think of Maori All Blacks, you think of Ash Dixon straight away. So he'll also have strong players to lean on. Like he's got standout fly half Oteri Black. He's got, I think I remember in the squad as well, Josh Hockneck. He last wore a Maori jersey in, I think, 2015. So it's been a while. So he's got a good mix of youth and experience in the squad. But James, this question here, when you've got a good mix of youth and experience in kind of what will be like a Barbarians game, will that end up working out?
I think so. And I think the coaches really just kind of step back. I reckon this will be, I think you mentioned kind of Umanga. I don't think you'll find that Umanga will be too kind of pedantic about game plan. I think you'll find that both the coaches will just say, kind of, here's the broad concepts. If you've got a lead veteran fly half, maybe you're running the starters, you're running the attack. You've got a big bopper, like a experienced lock. You're just saying you've got 5 days to sort out the line out, and really just step back and just make sure they're kind of up for the match and kind of undercoach them a little bit, especially if you have some real veteran presences in that team.
Yeah, and I think the last thing that we'd really love to focus on is Tana said it in his interview this morning with TV1 New Zealand, is that he's excited about the culture opportunity. So he's not really very well versed in his Samoan heritage, and there's some younger guys that are very versed in their culture. So I think he's very excited. Hala, just last question here: do you think that cultural aspect will just make it that much more special to be a part of this team?
Yeah, man, we've seen it in the Rugby League World Cup where you saw Fiji, Samoa, PNG, and Tonga, where the culture really made the tournament for the Rugby League World Cup. And what we're going to see when these guys play December 5th is proud Polynesian and South Pacific Islanders coming together in a game of rugby where all the cultures involved are going to shine, not just on the field, but you're going to see, values and characteristics that are God-given to these guys. And, you grew up in your villages and with your families, and we're going to see that on show. And it's going to be a beautiful spectacle and something that World Rugby really needs, given the amount of PI players that play around the world. And it's going to be a beautiful display of culture. And that's going to be a really big part of the celebration of that game too.
And James, you got final word. Anything else to add to that?
Where is this match being played?
It's in Hamilton, so at Waikato Stadium. So my favourite stadium.
Buy stocks in the Hamilton KFC.
My man, and Carl's Jr. My man.
Gonna get an absolute hammering.
Oh, that is the best. That is the best final word I'll ever hear in my life.
Can I just add something? This is what I'm excited to see. Ash Dixon, I love, right? But we got Bryn Hall at 9. You got Liam Messam as a loose forward.
That's dangerous.
And with Oteri Black and Sean Wainui as well. These are some of my favorite players. And I'm just looking forward to just seeing this explosiveness.
Yeah.
And I named those players, especially Wainui and Liam Messam and Bryn Hall, because they are very aggro players.
Yeah, no, they definitely are. I think if you, especially with Wainui, he doesn't show it in his facial expressions or anything like that. But when it comes down to, especially when he plays for the Maori All Blacks, he's explosive and he's aggro. Any person who goes in front of him, his mission is, he doesn't care if he's 7 foot, 300 kilos, he's going to try and run over them every time.
There should be a rule for this game. No yellow or red cards. Just let the boys play. Whatever happens, happens.
As long as they sign a disclosure agreement that says no dirty stuff, then they'll sit there and just be like massive.
It should be like ice hockey. If you 1-on-1, let's go, my G.
Oh man. Oh, I don't know. I actually don't know if I like that because there'd be too many concussions. But yeah, no, we'll leave it at that. But yeah. Excited for that match. We won't have to pick that winner because we're going to do that next week when we have a bigger in-depth chat. Buying stocks in KFC for Hamilton, so that'll be great.
Classic, James.
That's amazing. But big thank you, James and Hala, for joining me once again. We got two more weeks of the bonus point until we take a little hiatus after Test match season is done. So make sure you tune into our last episodes for a while and enjoy this weekend's rugby, guys. I'm super excited. It's going to be beers. Hull's back in LA in a week, so we're going to be very, very excited about that one. We're going to jump straight in. But, happy Thanksgiving, everyone, to everyone in the US. Thank you for tuning into the Bonus Point podcast, and have a good evening.
Cheers, guys.
Peace.